whole idea is to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of a currency that is on the verge of collapse. Because the people who don't get out, that just think they're playing it safe, that don't want to take any risk, so they keep their money in the dollar, they are going to be broke. They're going to be completely broke, and that is obvious. It's obvious to me that that's what's going to happen. And this is pure inflation, Latin American style. This is hyperinflation. This is Zimbabwe. This is the identical monetary policy. This is what the Weimar Republic did, and we're going to have the same result. And I am 100% convinced that anybody who has their wealth in U.S. dollars will be just as broke as the people who have their money with Madoff. It's not going to matter. It is going to be destroyed. And I don't know how much time you have. You know, with the dollar dropping 5% a week at this point, I don't know. Could the dollar snap back a little bit? Sure, of course. But what if it keeps falling? What if it's down 5% next week and 5% the week after that? And then what if it drops 10% and another 10%? Who knows? You know, at some point, a year or two from now, the dollar could be dropping 5% a day. You know that the inflation rate in Zimbabwe is over 100 million% per year. I can't even calculate what that is. But you know what? It didn't start off that bad. The dollar is now sinking on its own weight, and it's going to drop like a stone. And, you know, there's not a lot of time.
So I'll keep exposing all these clowns with their media celebrity, but hopefully you saw the video on Meredith Whitney. It's very important, folks. If you think she's the only person, I'm telling you she's not. It's a typical pattern from the media. Every single person that they hype up, oh, they did this, they predicted this. I'm telling you right now, it's not true. In some situations, depending upon what they're talking about, they'll tell you, for instance, oh, well, Stanley Druckenmiller, he's a great fun. Or Jeremy Grantham. I did an article, actually, let me show you guys. I did an article showing this guy's a broken clock clown. He's been calling for a collapse in the market for 12 years, like Michael Burry. You listen to the media, and by the way, YouTube is 1 billion times worse than the media. All these YouTube fake investment gurus get their shit from the media. So it's funny. So you can see here, I typed in Peter Schiff, and guess what? Take a look. Remember what I told you earlier about Peter Schiff's been on YouTube for, I don't know, 13, 14 years, and given all the media exposure he's got, all the, you know, he's pumped everywhere, and he still doesn't, he only has 500, 600,000 subscribers. Why is that? Because he's tapped out the emotionally distraught, low IQ weirdos. And so the only way he's going to grow his channel is he's going to have to suck in some of the younger crowd that's not familiar with his bullshit and his terrible track record. Therefore, guess what he's doing? He's advertising. You see that? You see that? He's advertising. So the stealth bull market that Wall Street hasn't figured out yet. So Peter's whole thing is that everyone's wrong and he's always right. And the problem is that he's always wrong. He's always wrong. And the media keeps pumping him. Folks, this is media fraud. The media, and that lady, she's a fraud. She's a fraudster. Complete piece of trash. These people are lying to you. And I've got countless examples. Market Watch, CNBC, Barron's, Fox, they're all lying when they claim these guys predicted this and that. Folks, I've shown the track records. I'm going to show you a performance of his funds. Before we go into the funds, I'm going to show you some I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds of these. These are just kind of what I found in one of my recent folders. So this is I would track Peter Schiff's funds every few years. And so you can see this is one of his funds. It's an international dividend fund. And this is from inception back, I guess, sometime in 2013. And this is through October 10th, 2021. Take a look. Peter Schiff will never go up against me on a neutral platform. Okay? Because he knows I've got his number. He knows I'm a top pro. What's he going to do? You see, Peter Schiff only goes up against snowflakes and like just dimwits. You think I'm going to back down to this guy? He won't do it. You see, Peter Schiff's kryptonite, his kryptonite is the truth. He will never go up against someone who's going to speak the truth and expose him. because he lives off of perception, false perception that's created from his media buddies. You understand? Media celebrity status, the same gimmick that they pull with all these reality TV shows. You understand? Shark Tank, all these people on Shark Tank are fucking frauds and failures and con artists. They're trying to reboot their career. Why do you think they're on Shark Tank? Why do you think Donald Trump did Apprentice for 12 years or whatever? He was doing no fucking business. He was making all his money on Apprentice. People that are successful aren't on TV. They don't have TV series. But the media is going to tell you, oh, well, they're great. And same thing with all these reality TV shows. Mark Cuban has never been successful. The guy's a clown. He's got a lot of money, but he was never successful. Mark Cuban was on there because he wants to get... Mark Cuban's been trying to get popular to run for president now for 10 years. He doesn't realize that people just don't like him. They don't like... Why do you think he stepped down from the Mavericks? Think about that. He sold his fans down the drain. Can you imagine having, a couple $1 billion or so in net worth, and you're such a money worshiper, you're such a greedy scumbag, and you're so stupid that you would actually risk destroying the brand of your own sports team by pitching a cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme, Voyager, which is what he did. It takes someone of real stupidity to do that, and greed. So take a look here. This is Peter Schiff's International Dividend Fund. Now, if you like international stocks, by the way, Peter Schiff pushes international stocks. Well, maybe you want VT. Okay? If you like VT, then maybe you're a Peter Schiff guy. VOO, folks, S&P. There's no need to bet on countries that are at the bottom and trying to climb up to America. America's the top. America runs the world. They run the world in every aspect, in education, in terms of higher education, innovation, technology, military, and believe it or not, even though it doesn't seem this way, they still lead the world in freedom. Okay? It's just that freedom from around the world has gone down a lot. So why would you invest in anything but the U.S.? Well, because you're just fucking stupid. That's the reality. One of the good things, actually, and this is why it's terrible to rescind your U.S. citizenship. One of the great things about America is the ability to earn money in the financial markets. You don't have that ability in many parts of the world. Okay? Believe it or not, you don't have that ability. In developing countries, in emerging countries, they mostly invest in real estate and gold. Okay? They don't have credible stock markets. They don't have credible... Most of these countries that have stock markets it's kind of bullshit. It's not even real stock markets. Okay? I mean, that's the reality. If you don't have rule of law, you can't have a stock market. If you're a communist country, you can't have a real stock market. Think about it for a second. What is a stock market? It's ownership, right? Private ownership of assets, of businesses, of companies. Communism, it's illegal. You can't do that. Right? You understand? I exposed Jim. Jim Cramer's a softball. I exposed him he was one of the first I exposed 15 years ago. Did many videos, articles on him. Jim Cramer used to have, he used to spruik one of his, let's call them relatives. Let's say relatives. The guy's name is Farber. He spruiked him on CNBC, and he was also on the street. I've got the original videos. You can't find him anywhere. On the street, his Boiler Room newsletter company, by which, by the way, if you want to see racial discrimination, take a look at all the people who work there. It's the same with most of the media, by the way. This is what I've been observing for many years. It's racial discrimination. I'll probably get flagged for hate speech for saying, I'm discriminated against, right? That's as bad as things have gotten. His name was, I forgot his first name, but Farber. He was a psychic. He was a weirdo. You can look for him on, he probably has his channel still on YouTube. He's a weirdo. You can just look at the guy and tell he's a weirdo. Jim Cramer, I kid you not, was, and Through the Street, which was called thestreet.com, which, as I mentioned in an earlier stream, this was a company that was committed accounting fraud and had to be delisted. This was a company that spruiked this Farber guy who was a psychic. And Jim Cramer on CNBC and The Street publication, they promoted this guy. He can pick stocks. He's a psychic. He's going to tell you what's going to happen. I kid you not. I've got the videos. Okay. I exposed this a long time ago. He also spruiked, you might remember, the pro baseball player, Tough as Nails. What's the guy's name? As a stock genius. I've got the videos of that as well. Okay. He called him one of the great ones. Jim Cramer called this airhead. He's a complete airhead. I mean, the guy's been hit over the head too many times. I mean, or done too many drugs or something. You can tell when you listen to him. Yeah, Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra. Look up Lenny Dykstra. They even did some documentaries on this guy. Jim Cramer was promoting this guy as a stock genius. And it turns out he was actually being fronted. He was getting options calls he was being given the calls from someone else. It was a scam. And Dykstra ended up filing for bankruptcy and, you know, all these things. He went to jail. All this complete fucking fraud. Okay. In fact, the Young Turks did a thing on him, I think. Yeah. Make sure and watch this later and then look into his story. Okay. I mean, it just tells you, folks, this is what we're talking about. The media is a complete scam enterprise. Okay. I'm telling you, YouTube is a billion times worse. YouTube is amateur media. Let's get back to Mr. Schiff here. And I must say, Peter is, you know, over the years, his dark red appearance is, I don't know. It looks like Peter has been drinking some alcohol. This is kind of what it looks like to me. Maybe I'm wrong. By the way, I've done a video on this two-part series. This Raoul Paul is a complete fraudster, complete liar, complete con man, and he's also a cryptocurrency disaster. And this guy as well, this Billy U guy, he's another one of these. He's promoted by Joe Rogan, so you know he's a fucking scammer. Okay, folks, look and see. Once again, if you want to detect the scammers, the bullshit artists, take a look at who they hang with. Anybody Joe Rogan is promoting is full of shit. Joe Rogan is the modern day Alex Jones. He's promoting disinfo. Okay, let me show you now. Let me get back to Peter Schiff. So we saw this. So let's take a look here. This is Peter Schiff's International Dividend Fund. Okay. It's down 12.5% since inception from 2013 to 2021. We'll take a look at it here shortly. Here's GLD. That's the gold ETF that outperforms Schiff's gold fund. And then the S&P 500. Take a look. The red, 177%. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. This is the Schiff Gold, Europac Gold Fund versus GLD, which is the gold ETF. So the Europac Gold Fund underperformed GLD. GLD outperformed the Euro-Pacific Gold Fund by more than 100%. It more than doubled its performance. Look at that, 15% versus almost 35%. This is since inception 2013 through the end of 2021. Think about that. Versus the S&P 178%. Now, why am I even mentioning the S&P 500, by the way? Because I know what Schiff's going to tell you. He's going to say, well, you got to look at the MSCI benchmark. By the way, you're not going to hear this by anybody else, probably. You all know MSCI? That's the benchmarking company. It stands for Morgan Stanley Composite Index. It used to be Morgan Stanley launched a long time ago, and they sold it off. It's kind of like S&P. They work with S&P. They have all the benchmarks. It's kind of a scam. It's basically a way for funds to, I mean, there's no need for a benchmark for everything. Okay? I'm not going to get into that right now, but let me continue with this. Let me show you more here.